Only on KSL tonight, a walk to the bathroom led to an in-flight arrest and a federal indictment of a man. That man says he was racially profiled and treated like a terrorist. Today, the end of a long court battle. News specialist Nicole Val's live with his story. Nicole, one he hopes will put a stop to stereotyping, he says.
Yes, he sure does. Earlier today, a 12-person jury here at the federal courthouse acquitted the California native, a legal victory after years of feeling discriminated against, he says, for no good reason.
I would never like it to happen to anybody as long as I live. No way.
2 years later, emotions for Atif Bandari still very raw.
When you feel like you are scared and you did not do anything.
As he remembers being removed from this flight.
I couldn't understand it, you know.
In May of 2015, a medical procedure took Bandari to Argentina. But on his return flight home to California,
they said I look suspicious because of my skin color.
He never expected a walk to the bathroom could land him in cuffs and land the plane in Salt Lake City. He says all due to baseless complaints from passengers.
They thought I was walking suspicious in the airplane, and I wasn't suspicious at all. I was walking like everybody else.
Bandari was charged with interfering with a flight crew, an offense punishable up to 20 years in prison. But after a 6-day trial today, the jury returned a unanimous not guilty verdict.
I'm so happy today, I can't believe it.
Happy for a victory, but still hoping for change.
I hope to find a day when people don't stereotype people. Hello everybody, it's me Atif again. I'm Egyptian American. I'd like to introduce myself again to you. I brought for you my first video, YouTube video, and it was about racial discrimination. And I got few requests that many people, they wanted to know what happened. They wanted to know the full story about it. And here is my story about it. In May 29 of 2015, I was flying back from Argentina. I am Egyptian American. I lived in Palm Springs, California for 20 years. And I lived in the United States of America 27 years. So it was my first flight for Delta Airlines. I collected so many miles, and I have my roommate who has a Parkinson, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna treat him. So I bought my ticket, and his ticket was my miles, and I paid extra for his for his trip because I did not have enough miles for his trip. And I was so happy because I read about Delta. It's the best airline in the world. I swear to God, this is how I was feeling, and happy, no problems. And this is, okay, the flight was going to go to Palm Springs, California, but it was going to start from Buenos Aires, Argentina, to Atlanta, Georgia, and to Salt Lake City, to Palm Springs, and the way from Atlanta, Georgia to Salt Lake City. This is a true story, and this is what happened. And please, God bless you, imagine yourself me and tell me what you think, with no exaggeration. I'm not saying anything more than what happened. In the beginning of the flight, I was going just to the bathroom, and a passenger followed me. I did not know he was just like a pilot or anybody. He followed me to the bathroom, and he bumped me in my back a few times. He's a big guy. He's like overweight. He's so big, and I'm a small guy. And I did not give any contact about that. And he followed me a few times after that. I did not give contact about that. But later when I was in the criminal court, and after I was accused of everything, I'm going fast a little bit to tell you what happened. I found out that this guy was a pilot for Delta Airlines, for a Blue Jet, which a co-partner of Delta Airlines. And he went to the flight attendant and he told her he thought I was a terrorist. And he told her to check me up in the passenger manifest. She checked me up in the passenger manifest and she found that my name is Atif, an Egyptian Arabic name. Then they did a background check on me 2 times. The first time on the plane, but they couldn't find anything. Then they got suspicious still. They are still suspicious about me that I'm a terrorist. Look how big, how a small guy like this, they're still suspicious about me that I'm a terrorist. Then they had a second background check on me. And the second one was more detailed. They had to contact the towers down in the airport, in the main airport, and run the detailed background check on me. And they did it, but there was nothing. But still they were suspicious. And according to the criminal trial testimony, they were praying to God to rescue them from me. I am the terrorist guy. They were praying to God to rescue them from me. And you know, by the end of the flight, I did not do anything. What I was doing during the flight is just normal thing like everybody do. I had my friend, my roommate who has a Parkinson, who came with me on the flight, but they couldn't sit up together. So my friend sat in the middle and I sat in the back. And so naturally I have to walk to him several times, you know, to see what he needs. This is a common sense. I don't have to explain myself why I'm walking so much. And then I had the diarrhea afterward, and then I got mistreated afterward by the flight attendant because they all thought I was a terrorist. And by the end of the flight, for no reason, 4 flight attendants, they came to me and they said, "Are you Atif Bandari?" I said, "Yes." And they said, "Come with us. Can you believe yourself? You are on an airplane and you find somebody come to you as a flight attendant and they told you, 'Are you Atif? Come with us.' This is so scary. I had so many problems in my life and that scared me to death, man." And then I told them, "You know what? I have diarrhea. I will go with you, but let me finish with the bathroom first." Because when they picked me up, I was waiting for the bathroom. And no, the answer wasn't, they did not appreciate my answer. They handcuffed me and they beated me up. I had the four passengers surrounding me like a human shield or a human arm, and the flight attendant was surrounding them, and they were all beating me up. My friend was Parkinson, was all his condition. He remembered the movie Airplane, and he told me it's horrible, and it reminded him of the movie Airplane. The pilot who accused me I was a terrorist, he beated me up so much. He's an overweight guy. He was jealous of me, or I don't know what was the problem, but I was not a terrorist. This is the worst accusation I've been accused in my life. I'm not a terrorist because the terrorists are evil, and I hate all the evils which they are the terrorists, which they caused me a lot of damages since September 11. And that's not only the story yet. The police, Salt Lake Police City, they came and they handcuffed me again with their own handcuff, and they beated me up again. And I was asking, are you Egyptian? How did you end up in Argentina? And they forgot that I'm American also. I'm not only Egyptian, I'm American. I'm sick and I'm tired of being a second-class citizen here. I'm sick and tired of this man. Damaged 4 years in my life. 4 years in my life I've been wasted for something I don't understand. What was the wisdom of that? What was the wisdom of that? And that wasn't the end of the story yet. The police, after they beated me up, handcuffed me without even asking me what happened, what was my side of the story. They listened to them, and accordingly, they beated me up and they tortured me. And they asked me also, how come do you travel so much? How did the police know that I travel so much? Who told them that I'm traveling so much? The flight attendant, they saw my passport. I know they were looking at my passport, and they saw many stamps in my passport. And I was asked this question several times. How come do you travel so much? And I couldn't answer this question either, because I have a right to travel if I have to. I'm not accused of anything. Why do I have to answer all of these questions? The police afterward, they insisted that they have to take me to the emergency room. And in the emergency room, only to evaluate me mentally, but not to take care of me medically. I had diarrhea in my pants. My pants was so sticky. I felt in that day I was less than an animal. I felt that the animal have more dignity, more than me. They accused me of being a terrorist, and they are the terrorist one. They are the one attacked me. I got attacked 3 or 4 times on that day. One time by the flight attendant, and one time by the police. And the emergency room treated me like an animal. They wouldn't give me food or medication or treat my wound or clean me up. They told me only you are here to be evaluated mentally. And they told me, shut up. And they abused me verbally as well. So this is also not the end of the story yet. I started moving on. I started doing the normal life I did before, like walking and cooking and enjoying music, and that's what I did before, happy. Like people see me always happy and smile. So I started doing that again. And I moved on with my life, and I thought this is the end of the story. I thought, okay, I'm just gonna move on. I'm gonna be happy and move on, and good luck to them for what they did to me. But that still wasn't the end of the story, because 6 months later, Delta decided to get out of their way again and to report me to the FBI and to persecute me, even though they know that they were wrong. They know that they accused me of being a terrorist, and I wasn't a terrorist. So why did they have to go out of their way again and to do that to me? You know, why did they have to go out of their way to indict me? And this will be another beating up than the one I was beaten up in the flight, and now in the civil life, I'm being beaten up for the last in the civil and the criminal life for the last 4 years. The first 2 years in the criminal, the last 2 years in the civil. And I'm still a second-class person. Still, I don't know where I'm going. I see the abuse of power is so clear. They made mistake and they keep covering it because they have money and the people listen to them. I hope for all your guys' support, all of you, God bless you. Imagine yourself mine, and I hope for your support. But also I have another hope. My other hope, and it's a little bit bigger hope, but I hope, I have faith in God that it will happen. I would like somebody of the politicians, someone of the politicians of the government office or the Congress people or the TV or somebody to open, to reinvestigate this, to see why they thought I was a terrorist and why they went that far to attack me, even in the civil court and even in the criminal court. You don't know how much money they spent to defeat that, millions of dollars from the taxpayer money, from my time, from my two friends' time. We were three of us, three good friends. We had vacations, we had cruises, but in the meanwhile, I was their caregiver and I was taking care of them. But for the last 4 years, I couldn't go anywhere because I was in probation. I wasn't allowed to travel. Why? Why I wasn't allowed to travel? Because I'm suspicious still. So I stayed 2 years with blacklisted from no-fly. And another 2 years, I can't go anywhere because I'm stuck with my friend here. I can't leave him alone. I can't leave him alone. He's depending on me so much. And these people, they need really to know there's a God and there's a truth. They have to say the truth. I know it's a mean word, but I don't give them any excuse to treat me like that. No excuse to them. I'm so hurt. I'm so hurt. And my next will be my story in the civil system also, to see how much it means to be me, how much to be in my skin and my accent and everything else, how much to feel like I'm a second-class citizen all the way, from the beginning until the end, from the very beginning until the end. Because, you know, the police never asked me what is wrong. The FBI, when they indicted me 6 months after the fact, they still did not tell me what I did. And they did not ask me what is my side of the story. So this is how many times I've been abused by the system. I've been abused by the flight attendants, by the police, by the FBI, and by others too. I have a list of them. And next will be my full story about everything. More details. I promise it will be more details. God bless all of you. And please help subscribe to my channel, and please give me your comment, and please give me your love and your support. I count on you only. All of you, all over the world, all the good people I met here and in Europe and in Africa and in Australia, all the people contacted me, and in Canada. I'm only counting on you. You are the face and you are the good thing. God bless all of you.